I saw one person on Reddit who said that they made $1 million on GameStop, and that
one guy. Well, the guy who like led the movement, Keith Gill, who was Roaring Kitty on YouTube and Twitter.
Yes, I know who Roaring.
He made his well, at one point at least, his portfolio was worth $46 million.
But this one particular person on Reddit, basically said, I can't believe I have $1 million. I'm now going to be able to pay off, I think, his mother's medical debt or something like that. Yeah. It was just so horrifically sad, but I think it spoke to the humanity that really does exist with a lot of people who, it's workaday people that deserve the breaks. And the people who unfortunately control our economy stateside, and let's face it, we're one of probably 2 or 3 countries that really run the world when it comes to the markets. That person getting $1 million to a hedge fund billionaire, he looks at that person who got that $1 million and think, that son of a bitch.
Yeah.
That's how because it takes a certain level of narcissism. It takes a certain amount of sociopathy.
Oh, yeah. No, these are psychopathic
and
people.
Psychopathy in order to do this.
Oh, yeah.
And so as bad as Trump is, and there's a lot of bad you could say about him, he's a buttercup compared to a lot of other people that swim in those waters. He may think he's a shark, but I could show you a lot worse people than him. And they just don't talk about it. Trump likes to be in the spotlight. Most of the people who do these things, they like a very low profile. They don't want anybody to know who they are. They don't even want to know that they're alive. It's kind of like the whole thing with what happened with Jeffrey Epstein and just kind of this whole, not even so much the crimes, but the people who were involved, these people that you don't even know that they exist, that they have all this power, and they run these markets. They are the ones who decide that once you're in there, once you're part of that club, it's a very, very, they say it's a big club and you ain't in it. Well, actually, it's a very small club and you're not invited. And so,
that's such a great way of putting it.
It's true.
Well, when we had one of our most distinguished guests on our podcast, Norman Finkelstein, he knows Alan Dershowitz on a very personal level. And Dershowitz is in the club. He's in that club. He is a very protected individual, but partially because he's like the lawyer in the firm. He knows everybody.
He knows where all the bodies are buried.
He knows where all the bodies are buried, and you can't touch that guy.
Well, so, and that's the kind of person that has it set up that if anything happens to him,
he's got a kill switch.
Oh, yeah.
Just like
but I would have thought Epstein did too. So that's my only concern.
He does. Epstein does.
Do you know what I found out today on this case? So I was shout out to Kirby Summers. I just interviewed her today. She's written a whole handful of books on the Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell case. Like she's the
one with the kill switch. It's Jolene who has
well, maybe, but she told me today that the thing that nobody seems to remember about the Jeffrey Epstein thing was that days before he died, before he committed suicide,
right?
That he agreed a plea deal where he was going to talk, and that everyone seems to forget this. It's not just that there was suspicion that he was going to talk. Like he had agreed a plea deal and was only going to serve 5 years in prison, reportedly. And then they just cut him off.
Got Arkansided. Yeah. But my only thought is that this is somebody who probably has video, audio, all sorts of stuff.
All that went missing.
But see, that's what I understand. Like, I would think that if you had that information, you would have yourself set up that if anything happens to you, that stuff gets out. And this is time I questioned whether Jeffrey Epstein was dead. I'm like, I would think that if he was dead, we'd be watching 24/7 of Bill Clinton porn, and yet that stuff hasn't come out. So I don't. But
the evidence disappeared from the safe. Apparently, it's gone missing.
I think because there's a lot of this country that demands answers and really wants to know the truth about the nefarious wheelings and dealings of the corporate elites. Is how you get, and again, it's like when you think about QAnon and everyone has an opinion about the validity of what that's all about. Yes, there's grifters who are convincing people of X, Y, and Z. The righteousness of what they're trying to fight for is not wrong, but you get these people who are opportunistic and scare people into giving them money and building this false movement. But the idea that there isn't nefarious behavior that takes place amongst the elite of the elites in society is just a complete falsehood. And it's no different than market manipulation. It's a real thing. And so when people get an idea of, well, maybe we have an opportunity to make some money in the market, let's go make some money. And then not only are they making money, they're making a lot of money.
Yeah.
And then the people who basically rig the game, because the game is rigged, say, all right, looks like you've had your fun, but
we're pulling the plug.
We're pulling the plug.
Right. It's like they'll only let it go so far, which is what I say about candidates that are running against incumbents. They'll only let it go so far before they're like shutting this down, which is what happened with Nina. They're going to say, okay, well, you know, we let some other people get in, but there's no way. Like, we got to shut that down.
And I think that that's the problem with not having a unified movement. You see, in Europe, if there really was a circumstance where the Tories were going to pull the NHS, you'd have 1 million people in the streets.
It's happening.
It is, but but are they going to they need to get their asses in the streets. In Paris, they get in the streets. And in other places, they get in the streets. They don't get in the streets here in the States.
We're going to on the 15th of October.
We're going to try, but I don't have
general strike. There's a general strike October 15th.
I just don't have any.
What for?
You know, it's not exactly clear.
It's really supposed to be an economic strike. Is what it's supposed
well,
to be.
it's look in places that have unions that can. I mean, we're Florida. We're a right to work state. I don't know if you are familiar with that, Josh, but basically unions are crushed here. There's no power here. The idea is there's certain demands. I believe it's a $20 minimum wage. They want to end the emissions. Like, they have all the demands that are basically what our demands are, right? Like, these are the things. And I heard Kyle Kalinske mentioned it. I looked it up, and yeah, there's this thing pushing for everybody to sort of do something on the 15th of October. And I think the key thing that we're going to push for is no spending. Everybody just is not spending.
Well, I still think that the best way to actually enact change in the States is you have to have a consensus, especially when it comes to online shopping.
Yeah.
That everything has to go through small business. It cannot go through any big box
So
companies.
I think that's the gist of it. But I think we should also have an action, and I'm ready. I have my yellow vest.
We had a really cool conservative come on our podcast on Monday. Her name is Carol Roth, wrote a great book, The War on Small Business. And she advocates for using anybody but companies like Walmart and Amazon. And that's where, as I like to say, the unification between progressives and libertarians is a real thing, and it needs to happen where the primary issues of agreement can be found. You know, if you're going to get marred down in very specific minutia about things like abortion and gun rights, you're never going to win. But there are a lot more important pressing issues that affect our day-to-day lives other than the culture war, that we're actually going to come up with solutions. The second we start talking about as a collective economic solutions, that's when the establishment brings the hammer down.
That's when they bring down the hammer down.
That's how it works.